You are Locked On Pistons Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into a live Locked On Pistons Postcast. Detroit falls at home to the Milwaukee Bucks, 128-107. And what a disappointing evening at Little Caesars Arena. The Bucks couldn't miss from deep. We'll break down their three-point shooting and the miscues defensively from the Detroit Pistons and wrap it up with our studs and duds and save the worst for last, as they always say. Look at the NBA Cup standings and how the Pistons are now eliminated. But buckle up. We're going to get through it. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the Pistons flagship radio station, now with Locked On Sports Detroit, and couldn't be more fired up to be with you. Shout out to the everydayers that tune in on Locked On Sports Detroit, your home for all things Detroit sports on the post-game side of things. You know all about Locked On's tremendous coverage on Locked On Pistons with Koo, Locked On Lions with Matt Derry, Locked On Tigers with Scott Bentley, and now you have a post-game edition with the Locked On Sports. And how could I forget, after this big weekend, Locked On Wolverines with Isaiah Hull. That was a lot of fun. We are the post-game destination, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, on YouTube, it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. So if you're new around here, please subscribe. We appreciate it. It's free, an extension of Locked On Sports. And don't forget, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Pistons daily newsletter. It's your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. You can sign up for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. Hey, how about a huge shout out to today's presenting sponsor? Making the Locked On Pistons Postcast possible is Game Time. Look, I'm using Game Time this weekend for the Big 12 Championship. That's right, I'll be at that one, and I'm using Game Time because you know what the thing about Game Time? It's the best ticketing app ever created. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, now that we've got through all of that, it is a lean back in the chair if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, I am leaning back in the chair. I am taking a deep breath because this was disappointing. It was sad. It was disheartening, deflating, all of the negative emotions you could think of. That's what tonight represented for the Detroit Pistons. Biggest game in a while. And I was texting with some buddies leading up to it. This is the most amped up, the most juiced I had been for a Pistons regular season game. And of course, we haven't had any playoff games to get juiced up for anyways, but the NBA Cup got me. I mean, I kind of mocked it last year, and albeit I wasn't in this role, and sometimes at 97.1 The Ticket, if you were to talk Pistons on the air, you'd have to have a conversation with the bosses of why you talk Pistons on the air, but this is not that. And so this was the most excited I had been for a Detroit Pistons game in quite some time. And credit to the Milwaukee Bucks, but also a disappointing beginning of the game, middle of the game, and end of the game from the Detroit Pistons. They never had a chance. And I know what we're all going to point to, and that's fine. Milwaukee could not miss from deep. I mean, they just shot the lights out, and 76% from the floor in the second quarter. Are you kidding me? I mean, 42 points in the second quarter, 78 for the first half, and this one just felt out of reach from the very beginning, and it continued into the third quarter, and then by then the fourth quarter. And not only that, but with the NBA Cup's kind of tiebreaker system, whether you agree with it or not, but it's margin of victory. So the Pistons still, I mean, it was a long shot, but they lose this game and now eliminated from the NBA Cup. More on that at the end of the program. But you had margin of victory to play for, but it didn't matter. On a night like tonight, the Bucks looked like a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. And I know the Eastern Conference starts and ends and goes through Boston, and that's the Pistons' next opponent. on the second night of a back-to-back, which you guys know by now. I think that's overplayed in sports, but I'm alone in that opinion. It seems like I got a lot of grief for using that as something I was upset about, as it felt like the Pistons were using that as an excuse when they lost to Philadelphia, albeit with some travel complications coming back from Indiana, but I digress. Point being, the Milwaukee Bucks looked really, really good tonight, and Detroit's inability to defend the Bucks only enhanced that. And depending on how much of the blame, if you want to do the old finger of blame and put up the percentages of blame, was it more Milwaukee or more Detroit? I mean, I think each person can have their own individual opinion on that. So I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. But Detroit left shooter after shooter after shooter open. They looked confused at times on defense, and that was really, really frustrating. But just look at the stats in this one. I mean, Giannis made his first 9 shots, maybe even 10 shots. I think it was 10 for 10 from the floor until he finally missed one. He goes for 28 points, and Damian Lillard goes for 27 points on 5-11 shooting from the long line, 9 of 17 from the floor. And from three-point line, Taurean Prince did not miss, 4 for 4 from three-point land, and he was just kind of a thorn in the Pistons' side all night. But collectively, as a team, 23 of 41 from deep, 56%, and a lot of those misses came when the game was already in the balance at the end, because it just felt like that snowball that you could not get out of the way of. It was the snowball of the Bucks shooting the three-point ball. That snowball was just rolling down the hill, and just momentum after momentum after momentum gaining shot by Milwaukee to put this one out of reach. I mean, you give up 78 points in the first half, you're not going to win a lot of games in the National Basketball Association. So let me know what you think in the comments. Again, I was amped up for this game. There was a lot of juice, a lot of hype, especially after how disappointing Saturday night's game against Philadelphia was. What do we all say? And again, I got a little bit of grief for this, which is fine. I appreciate the feedback. I'll never shy away from someone having a different opinion than me, and I appreciate the feedback. So let me know what you think in the comments. Use that comment function on the live YouTube broadcast. But man, I thought tonight, all right, there's no second night of back-to-back. There's no other external factor that's going to impact this game. You're on your home floor. It's a big spot. Fans were ready to go, and there just was nothing to cheer about from start to finish. It was a dominating effort from the Milwaukee Bucks. And as I try not to get too high, too low, but the point of an instant reaction show is to express how you feel immediately after, and immediately after in the moment, I feel deflated. I feel discouraged, because it felt like the Pistons showed tonight that they're still a ways away. And that can change depending on the result from game to game. But on a big stage, the magnitude of the game, you knew it coming in. It just felt like it was a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of progress to be made. But we're going to get to your comments. We're going to break down some of those defensive miscues, some of the things that did go right, some of the positive takeaways, look ahead to Boston tomorrow night, and then break down that NBA Cup as well that the Pistons are eliminated from tonight after losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. Final score 128-107. Giannis leading all scorers with 28 points. Lillard right behind him with 27. For Detroit, 23 points for Cade. Needed him to get 7 assists for my bet. He only got 6. So that's another one. That's another reason why I'm grumpy tonight. But your comments are coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's the Locked On Pistons postcast. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is on Prize Picks. You got to download the app now, and it's real simple. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Voila, it's that easy. I've never had more fun than when I play Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action in over 30 states, and that includes California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. You gotta join the community that is over 10 million users strong. Sign up today. What the heck are you waiting for? Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out of your lineup even if it's not perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Why do they do that? Because they love you and they care about you at Prize Picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your pick hits, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this season. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed, my friend. Like the Pistons are guaranteed to disappoint you when you get your hopes up. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Pick discounts select players, projections up to 25% to provide even more value to your lineups. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. This episode of the Locked On Pistons Postcast is also brought to you by Game Time. It's the best ticketing app and the only ticketing app that you'll need. I'm using Game Time this weekend, heading to the Big 12 Championship at Jerry's World, Arizona State, taking on Iowa State. I love some good title conference championship games, and I'm using Game Time for a number of reasons. Most importantly, the all-in pricing feature. I say most importantly because it's what I love the most, because I'm a bottom line kind of guy. The all-in pricing feature, when you toggle this in the app, it gives you the bottom line. No surprise fees at checkout. Just give me the bottom line. How much am I paying? And you know the great thing about the Game Time app, as the game gets closer, the prices get lower because they guarantee the lowest price. And hey, how about this? For peace of mind, if you find a better price, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. How about that peace of mind? But I guarantee you're not going to find a lower price. Don't forget the app. Super easy to use, no deception. It's a panoramic high-resolution photo from your seat. None of those grainy renderings or, leaving things up to question or the deception. No, none of that when it comes to the Game Time app. You can see the view from your seat before you purchase. And how about some more peace of mind? The Game Time ticket coverage. Purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app. Create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create that account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. And I ask you, after you download the Game Time app today, what time is it? Game time! All right, I promised we'd get to the comments, and if you're just joining us, we appreciate it. It's the Locked On Pistons Postcast. If you're catching the audio-only version, we appreciate that as well. Either way, you got to subscribe on YouTube. Our community continues to grow, getting close to 1,700 subscribers, and we appreciate that. And as always, you can find the audio version on the respective channels. So for Locked On Pistons Postcast, you got Locked On Pistons, and so on and so forth. We are your official post-game show for the Locked On Podcast Network. All things on Locked On Sports Detroit. Good, bad, ugly, and sad, like tonight was sad. 128-107 win for the Bucks, who eliminate the Detroit Pistons from the NBA Cup. I know I had visions, that we all did, of the Pistons playing in that NBA Cup in Vegas in the knockout round. And as the great Nick Saban would say, it ain't happening, so quit asking, all right? And tonight, it was the Milwaukee Bucks just shooting the lights out, especially from deep. I heard the guys talking on the broadcast. The Pistons, statistically speaking, didn't have, some terrible game. Couldn't really get it going from three, just 11 of 33. But points in the paint, Pistons had more with 56 points in the paint. Bucks only had 22 points in the paint. That's crazy when you break down the box score in this one. But as is the case in today's NBA, you shoot a lot of threes, you make a lot of threes, you're going to win some games, and that's what the Milwaukee Bucks did tonight. But I promised we'd get to the comments, so let your voice be heard. Go ahead and use that comment feature. We appreciate it. Demetrius McNeil is up first. My guy, love that guy. Congratulations to the NBA for making the Pistons play back-to-back games. I get the feeling the Bucks' three-point shooting was the difference in the game. Next night won't be an easy one with the Celtics up next. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. However, if you watch the Locked On Pistons postcast on Saturday after the game against the Philadelphia 76ers, the back-to-back, second night of the back-to-back thing, it just doesn't resonate with me. And I know they had some complications, which I later found out. My apologies. I didn't know that. But these guys fly private, just go out there and do a job and play hard and play to the best of your ability. That's all you can ask for. And hopefully we'll see that tomorrow night against the Celtics. But yeah, really disappointing that the NBA Cup run, if you will, because I mean, it's tough to win in the National Basketball Association. You win the first 3 games of the NBA Cup, you're feeling good. Like, hey, we're 3-0 and we got a shot to get to the knockout round and really could have locked up the number 1 seed. But again, it ain't happening. So such is life as a Detroit Pistons fan. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights says, yo, what up, though? Perfect. Right on cue. Alan Humphrey. Welcome, Alan Humphrey. I haven't seen your name on the chat before. So welcome to the Locked On Pistons postcast. What up, though? Game time, absolutely. We've got JMO in the chat. What's a good trade target for the Pistons? It's a good question. It's pretty early to start talking about that. And I found last year in my role covering the NBA with around the trade deadline, nobody really knows. I mean, you could say that they need, and actually I did want to say that, I meant to say that in the open, that I think Jalen Duren played a lot better tonight, as far as, a game where we were asking for more from Jalen Duren. And at times he showed some signs of some really impressive defensive capabilities. That's been the knock on him, and rightfully so, because he has struggled from time to time defensively. But man, I thought he was better tonight, but it was not enough of a collective effort defensively. Moses checking in says this team can't win. They need help big time. The vets we have not helping. They can't get a streak going, but they got more of a losing streak. Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree. And listen, I'm as critical as anybody on the Detroit Pistons. In fact, that's what I took the most grief from after a good friend of mine listened. He said, you're tough on these Detroit Pistons. And I agree. That sometimes I am a little overly critical, but at the same time, I mean, it's just, you want more for the Detroit Pistons, and you saw all the progress, and that's where it's almost like you see a little bit of progress and you want more. That's the old AT&T commercial. I want more. And so I think that's kind of where I stand with the Detroit Pistons, that the progress is being made, but at the same time, we'd hope to see more from Detroit tonight. As far as potential, trade targets, I know that was brought up. Zach LaVine's name's always floated out there. That would be awesome. I mean, I covered the Bulls as an intern. I was at Northwestern in 2017 and 18, which I believe was Zach LaVine's, or close to it, but he was very young at that time, a little bit immature, and he still might have some of that. But listen, I wouldn't hate sending maybe spicing it up a little bit. I see the comment here, and I'm hearing about Beef Stew on the trading block. I hope they don't trade him. I wouldn't mind trading Beef Stew. I just don't think he fits the mold of what the Pistons need. And I know you can say he plays hard, he plays with passion, he plays with grit, all this, that, and the other. But he's a big guy that can't shoot. And look at the Bucks. They had a lot of guys that can shoot. And not saying that we have to try to model our team after the Milwaukee Bucks, but in today's NBA, he takes up a lot of space and doesn't stretch the floor because of his inability to shoot from deep. And, he's undersized at that as well. So I'm not married to the idea of keeping Beef Stew around. All right. That being said, we are going to close it out with our studs and duds from tonight. I always appreciate everybody chiming in. Great to see that chat function going and using the interaction on a live Locked On Pistons postcast. We're here for you post game on Locked On Sports Detroit. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. And again, my name is Jake Rietma, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, now with Locked On Sports Detroit. We'll take one quick timeout and then be back to bring you the final segment of the program, our studs and duds, and the reminder of what's going on in the NBA Cup. That's next on a Locked On Pistons postcast. This episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Convenient, flexible online therapy. You just got to visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Now, listen up. Sometimes therapy can be tough to talk about, and as we move towards the holidays, that can play a factor in it as well. And the great thing with BetterHelp, like I mentioned, it's online and designed to be flexible and convenient. That's a great thing about BetterHelp. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge, because it's that time of the year where you want to stay cozy during the winter months. How do you stay cozy? Maybe it's some warm hot chocolate, or wrapping up in a blanket with a mug, or watching a movie with family. It's the best way to spend the month of December. Therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. Like I said, all you have to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charges. Listen, I've benefited from therapy. It can be very, very helpful in a multitude of ways, and it's entirely up to you how to utilize the awesome platform of BetterHelp, convenient and online. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. It's the final segment of the program, our studs and duds, and this won't take long. The Milwaukee Bucks three-point shooting was the obvious stud in this one, and got to get it to the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. 28 minutes played, 28 points scored, 10 of 11 from the floor, 8 of 12 from the free throw line. He was really good. So was Lillard. 9 of 17 from the floor, 5 of 11 from deep. And just go ahead and throw in Taurean Prince, because even though 14 points, 4 of 4 from three-point land, he was just that nagging thorn in the side for the Pistons all game long. But as a team, 23 of 41 from deep, 56% from the three-point line. That tells you all you need to know. So to follow that up, my duds, that's right, the fact that the Pistons just could not play any defense. Major bummer there. Got to play better defense. And even if a team is hot, you got to find a way to get them out of the rhythm, prevent them from feeling so comfortable and being in that rhythm and dominating from deep. Just really nobody from the Pistons stepping up and into that role. All right, now for the NBA Cup, which a lot of people were asking, and this is still playing out, so not exactly finalized. I'm sure Koo will touch on it on the Locked On Pistons Daily Show for tomorrow's episode. But Milwaukee clinches the East Group B with the 128-107 win over the Pistons. Detroit is eliminated with the point differential tiebreaker to Boston or Orlando. So that being said, EC Cavaliers beat the Wizards 118-87. East A 76ers beat the Hornets 110-104. So I believe the Hawks are already in, which good for them. Yes, here we go. So Atlanta, they have the East Group C. that they have clinched. That means Cleveland's eliminated, Chicago, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Indiana, the Lakers, Miami, Philadelphia, Boston avoids elimination with their win over Chicago. Sacramento is eliminated, Minnesota is eliminated, and Portland avoids elimination with a 115-106 win versus Sacramento, and Oklahoma City's 101-93 win over the Los Angeles Lakers. That being said, still some games to be played to finalize the Western Conference side of things. Houston's in, Golden State is in. I'm sorry, Houston's in with, that's right, Houston's in, and so is Golden State. So there you have it. But still lots to play out down the stretch. All we really care about is that the Detroit Pistons are, in fact, eliminated. And those dreams have died, as I put on the old Twitter machine. But thanks so much for tuning in. And hey, we'll be right back with you tomorrow night as the Detroit Pistons travel to Boston to take on the Celtics. Oh my gosh, it's the second night of a back-to-back. Hopefully the Pistons can survive. But Boston's tough. But hey, I'd love to see a little resiliency from the Detroit Pistons. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Check out the Locked On Pistons daily podcast with Koo. And don't forget, your favorite Locked On Pistons has a newsletter. That's right. It's the daily newsletter. It's your one-stop ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful night. Pistons fall to the Bucks 128-107 and are eliminated from the in-season NBA Cup. Have a wonderful night. Talk to you tomorrow after Pistons Celtics.